Hello Texas anglers, it's winter time and I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about striped bass fishing in freshwater lakes, in particular Lake Texoma. It's one of my favorite things to do in the winter time is to go up to Lake Texoma and fish with artificial baits and catch big striped bass. You have a greater opportunity in the winter time to catch big fish for whatever reason, but I'm not complaining about it. You typically have a higher percentage chance to catch big fish. Now, one of the techniques is, well, the first technique you need to know is how to find the fish. Now, I'll cover that more in future videos, but you want to probably find areas where the water level depth changes. You can use your fish finder to just cruise the lake. You can also get a map, a contour map of the lake, and check out some areas. And another thing that works well in the wintertime is if you get lucky enough, the seagulls will be out chasing shad that the striper are scaring up. Now that makes it easy for everybody, but they don't do that every day in the wintertime. So you want to go to areas that typically hold striped bass in the wintertime and use your graph and mark the fish. Now, once you mark the fish, I like to use 3 different baits in the wintertime. Okay, the first one here that I have, this is actually an ugly stick with a pen reel on it, spin tackle. It's one of my favorite setups, and this particular bait is called a fluke. Now this is a 4-inch pearl white fluke. This one I actually took fishing last time. It's a little beat up from catching striped bass, and it's got a 1/4 ounce jig head on here. It's got a nice little sharp hook, and what I'll do is I'll come forward and show you this here in just a minute. And the favorite technique to use in the wintertime is called dead sticking. And dead sticking is exactly how it sounds. You'll take this bait, you'll cast it out. What I like to do is get in front of the birds or in the area where there's fish, cut my big engine off. Okay, I'm going to drift, I'm going to cast this out and just let it drop to, close to the bottom of the depth the fish are feeding at. Just hold the pole, don't move it. Okay, no, you don't have to jig, you don't have to do anything. The fish are very sluggish in the wintertime, typically, if the water's very cold. So there's no need to cast and reel really fast. You just drop the bait down and you hold it. Now, sometimes the bite is very subtle. You may catch a 10, 12-pound fish that just barely taps the line. So you hold your pole, you'll feel a tap or two, and then you want to set that hook. Now, I have a set of be-ready rod holders on my boat, and you'll see in the video footage that I'm going to show at the end of this is I'll take a few rods and I'll put different baits, and I'll put the bait in the rod holder, and I'll watch the rod tips while I work one pole. Now, I may be casting and reeling with one pole, bouncing it off the bottom, and I'll watch these baits as they go, and I'll see the rod tips bounce. What's nice about these rod holders is you can grab the front of the rod here, right in front of the reel, lift it out of the rod holder and set the hook at the same time. Very convenient. So that is a fluke. Let me let you get a better look at that. It's got a nice little split tail here. They look very similar to a bass assassin. You can see because it has that split belly there. And that's the fluke. My next bait here is just a sassy shad with about a 3/4 ounce jig head. And this is a chartreuse jig head. It's got red eyes. You can use white. There's various colors. And this is called the glow sassy shad. Now this bait is really beat up. It was probably attacked the most on our last fishing trip. In fact, in the footage that you're going to see coming up here in just a minute. This bait has about a 3/0, maybe 4/0 sized hook, a long shank hook on the jig, and this is a 4-inch sassy shad in glow color that will glow in the dark. I'm not going to show a demonstration of that, but anyway, you can pick these up, Bass Pro Shops or Cabela's or wherever they sell sassy shad. So let me let you get a closer look at this bait. Like I said, you can see this one's been really beat up by the striped bass. It's probably ready to be replaced, but there's the bait. And all I do is I'll cast it and give a slow retrieve. Occasionally when it's really cold, I'll let it sink to the bottom, and I'll lift it up off the bottom, let it go back down. Then I'll lift it up and let it go back down. Okay, finally I have a coho minnow. This is another swim bait. I'm using the same jig head I used for the fluke. This bait is also in the glow color. It's a longer, skinnier bait. To me, it mimics one of the baits in the lake called a ghost minnow. I can show you a picture of that as well, what a ghost minnow looks like. The sassy shad obviously mimics the shad, and to me the coho minnow mimics the ghost minnow. Typically cast and retrieve or slow retrieve, similar to the sassy shad, and I'll go ahead and show you. Now you can dead stick any of these baits. You can dead stick a sassy shad, a coho. I typically are cast and reel with the coho and the sassy, and dead stick the fluke, but it's all about personal preference. Whatever's catching fish for you, whatever works. I like to eliminate what doesn't work early on in a trip and then go from there. But it's probably rare that you will strike out with one of these baits if you come across a school of striped bass and you look at your graph, and again I'll show you a picture of a graph that has a big school of striped bass under it, and if you get into a situation like that, you'll typically catch fish, and sometimes almost on every cast. So anyway, let me let you get a closer look at this bait. Coho minnow in glow color. And that's about it. Just cast and reel. Sometimes I'll dead stick and I'll put them in these Be Ready rod holders. Remember the length limits on Lake Texoma. I like to bring me a measuring stick. This is a measuring stick. You're allowed to keep 2 fish over 20 inches at the time this video is being made. We're on January 1st, 2013, so measuring the fish, put the nose here, the very end of the tail, not the fork of the tail. I've made that mistake before. The very end of the tail has to measure 20 inches. If it touches the 20-inch line, it's one of your overs. It's one of your 20-inch fish. So you're allowed to keep 2. And you'll see in this video, actually we caught several fish over 20. We kept, it's 2 of us, we kept 4 fish that were over 20 and released the rest. And fortunately we were able to catch the remainder of our limit. The Lake Texoma limit is 10 per person, with 2 of those 10 can be over 20 inches. If you catch 10 under 20 inches, then you're done fishing for the day as well. You release any fish you catch beyond that, and that's per angler. So don't take my word for anything. You can go to the Texas Parks and Wildlife. I'm sure Oklahoma also has it's on the Texas-Oklahoma border, so they have their own rules. You want to check all that out, ask a game warden, just to be sure. But I like to bring this on boat with me. I also, so I don't forget, actually have a taped measuring stick on my boat as well, to the side of my boat, so that I have more than one in the boat, and in case I forget this, I have something else to measure the fish with. So don't forget one of those. And lastly, in the wintertime, like I said, you have a great opportunity to be catching big fish. So get you a good net. I like to use this rubber net here. I think I got it at Academy. So remembering a net is a good deal. Plus, you probably don't want to dip your hand in that cold water. I think the water's just dropped below 50 degrees here recently, so it's probably in between 45 and 50 right now. So anyway, enjoy the footage, and I hope this helps you catch some more fish this winter, and good luck.